Tennessee Life is sponsored by
Mid-South Sewing is an authorized brother dealer and repairs all brands of machines. Mid-South Sewing, known for their many fabrics, classes, and individual instructions. Classes on sewing and embroidery machines, software, sergers, and quilting. Mid-South Sewing, Knoxville and Murfreesboro.
Tennessee Life is also brought to you by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. nexttonewknox.com. And by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations, knoxvilleflowerpot.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you. Coming up on this edition of Tennessee Life, cool off with some Tennessee treats. Scottie Mayfield talks to us about the small family milk business that became a major ice cream brand.
A fella came to town with an ice cream machine, and my grandfather actually bought it from him. So back in those days, he's making ice cream and putting it in a 5-gallon metal container.
We visit Cruze Farms, where the cows roam and the cream rises to the top to create unique flavors of milk and homemade ice cream.
We've produced so many flavors of ice cream I can't keep count, but there's about 8 that are just our favorites that we always keep making. But you know, we've tried a lot of crazy flavors.
And the frozen treats are just part of the reason people run to this ice cream truck.
I wanted a hot rod ice cream truck. I just thought it would be so fun and hilarious. A man, a plan, a Metro van. That's what I had.
We get some treats on the street from the Cruisin Cone. Those stories next on A Delicious Tennessee Life.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Tennessee Life. I'm Vicki Lawson. Nothing cools you off in the summer heat like a couple of scoops of your favorite ice cream. Lucky for us, we have lots of Tennessee-made ice cream to enjoy, such as the flavors made at Mayfield Dairy Farms in Athens. I talked with Scottie Mayfield about his family's dairy business that has spanned more than a century and how selling milk door to door eventually grew into one of the best-known ice cream brands. Your family has some long-standing roots in McMinn County.
Great-grandfather actually homesteaded in McMinn County in the 1820s. Came over from South Carolina. He and another brother, and the other brother I think located in Bradley County. But my grandfather went to the University of Tennessee, loved Jersey cows, and he's the one that really started our company in probably the early 1910.
How did the ice cream business evolve after the milk business started in 1910?
So he has, 45 cows, and he's milking those and delivering the milk twice a day. In 1923, a fella came to town with an ice cream machine, and my grandfather actually bought it from him. So back in those days, he's making ice cream and putting it in a 5-gallon metal container, and packed that metal, put a metal lid on it, and packed that in salt and ice. I mean, truly homemade ice cream. Mm-hmm. And he made ice cream for the week leading up to the 4th of July. And on that 4th of July weekend, he went to town, and my grandmother said about 3:30 or 4 o'clock that afternoon, we saw him coming home. He looked like he'd been beat up. I mean, he was just unbelievably worn out, and he'd sold out of ice cream.
What were some of the first flavors?
There was just 3: vanilla, chocolate, and then when we decided to get exotic, we had strawberry.
What are some of the most popular flavors today?
Traditionally, vanilla, chocolate. In the South, butter pecan, and then you have a few other flavors. Moose Tracks is probably second now.
You and I were talking, and you said if you have a really good vanilla and a really good chocolate, you can make about any kind of ice cream from those.
That's pretty much the philosophy that we've always had. That's what my uncle always said. I mean, if you can make great vanilla and you can make great chocolate, the rest of it's easy because you're just adding ingredients. Chocolate almond, you just add almonds. Moose Tracks, you take our vanilla ice cream, which is a great vanilla ice cream, and then you add the Denali fudge and you add the peanut butter cups, and it's a great product.
There were some recipes that came right out of the kitchen too, from Goldie.
Goldie was my grandmother. She made cottage cheese at home, which is a heck of a home process to do. And so she was pretty excited whenever her husband built this plant and she was able to get that away from her. When he built the first pasteurized milk plant between Knoxville and Chattanooga in the early 20s, he really called it Mayfield Creamery because his goal was to get the cream out of that milk to actually make ice cream. We talk about it being a modern and new milk plant, but it was really more to get the cream to make ice cream.
What are some of your childhood memories of being part of an ice cream company?
I guess I was probably a young teenager and I had never had homemade ice cream somewhere else, and I went to somebody's home and they did homemade ice cream, and I came home so excited about it, and my dad said, "Son, we don't do that." My early years were on the farm. I mean, I started working part-time on the farm when I was 11. And we used to show cows and do lots of different farm activities. And then when I turned 16, I was able to drive and I could work at the plant. Probably the best job was to work in the lab because you learned all about the plant because you had to go get samples from everywhere that you were doing the quality control test on.
What are you most proud of?
I just feel fortunate to be a part of this Mayfield story. I think it's a neat story. The funniest story that grandmother told was one year our farm has a railroad siding by it, and so he bought some feeder heifers, to raise. And she said we fed those heifers all summer and got them all fat and put them back on the train and sent them home. And by the time Bryant calculated all of our costs and what we paid for the cows and what we got for the cows, he figured that we probably made the manure they left behind. And what was funny about her telling this is she was just serious and she didn't think it was funny.
I know one of your trademarks is the giant cow.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with the cow. I can remember being very young and pulling that cow and going across the old bridge in Loudon, Tennessee, and just, holding it. But what's really interesting is to pull the cow.
What is your favorite ice cream?
I probably eat more vanilla than anything, but I tell everybody it's whatever's in the bowl in front of me at the time.
Scottie Mayfield, you brought us some ice cream treats, which of course is the real reason we asked you here
Right,
today.
I hear you.
Thank you for sharing your Tennessee life story with us.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I hope some of the folks that listen to the program will actually come visit us in Athens and go through the plant.
Later on Tennessee Life, it's an ice cream truck with 500 horsepower, once destined to just rust in a field. But next, we visit a small dairy farm that scoops out big flavors.
Cruze Dairy Farm is a much smaller operation, and the owners like it that way. Small markets and local restaurants are proud to serve Cruze Farm ice cream flavors such as strawberry shortcake and coffee. They've also launched a new line of flavored milks that go way beyond chocolate and vanilla.
Our farm is on the French Broad River, and it is conserved under the Land Trusts for Tennessee. So we sold the rights to develop the farm, so it'll stay a farm forever. All our calves are born on farm, and we raise them from babies, and they're the future of our herd. Our cows are in pasture 365 days a year, and we never spray our pastures with pesticides or herbicides. We milk Jersey cows, and Jersey cows have higher butter fat, which makes their milk extra sweet. And we use the butter fat for ice cream. And all of our flavored milks are made from whole milk, so nothing's taken out and no fats added, and it's just really delicious and sweet milk. My name's Colleen Cruze, and we're at Cruze Dairy Farm in East Knoxville. Well, my parents started Cruze Farm in 1980 when they got married, and my dad was a dairy farmer, and my mom got drug into it and was his biggest supporter. They started bottling milk within the next year. I loved growing up on a dairy farm. Wasn't sure that I wanted to come back to it until I went away to UT, and I just missed being outside and I missed the physical work. And so I came back to the farm after I graduated and told my parents I wanted to keep it going. I live on the farm with my husband and daughter, and I live here also with my parents who are across the street, and they're still working on the farm every day. Today we milk about 80 jerseys, and we bottle milk and make ice cream from their milk. We've been making ice cream at the farm for a really long time, actually. My parents made ice cream back at the old Knox County Farmers Market. We've produced so many flavors of ice cream I can't keep count, but there's about 8 that are just our favorites that we always keep making. But you know, we've tried a lot of crazy flavors, and sometimes interns will come up with flavors like beet ice cream. Then we stick it to the more traditional chocolate chip cookie dough, which is always delicious. So we just love to experiment. Our 8 most popular flavors are vanilla, chocolate, cookies and cream, salty caramel, Tennessee snapping turtle, strawberry shortcake, mint chocolate chip, and coffee.
Some flavors, I guess, are just kind of serendipitous. We'd always made a birthday cake ice cream, which I don't know if other farms or other companies make a birthday cake ice cream. And we've always made strawberry ice cream, and last year we put cake in our strawberry ice cream, and it was so delicious. And it was, you know, we called it strawberry shortcake. We didn't know how delicious it was going to be, but it ended up being so tasty. It's hard. It's like describing how you come up with ice cream flavors is like describing how you come up with an idea for a song or anything. I mean, it's different every time. If you get a great product like milk and you have a passion for creating foods, you know, with those, you can really just run wild and make whatever product that your heart desires. Flavored milks started, like so many things in life, out of necessity. We had a lot of extra milk,
which we're always thankful for because we can do a lot of fun things with milk, like make flavored milks. So lately we've been making chai milk and strawberry milk, and of course coffee milk and chocolate milk. And the more milk we have, the more flavors we can create. Our most popular flavored milk is coffee milk, by far, because everyone loves coffee and it is really delicious.
It's really fun coming up with the recipes. Chai milk, for example, is really difficult. It has a lot of spices. My parents are from India. I grew up drinking chai every day with my parents, and the recipe is, although it's had a lot of iterations, is fundamentally a reflection of my mom's recipe, you know. So, yeah, it's not your average milk drink, but I think anybody that tries it is going to like it.
Our milk bar is like a food truck. We started taking it to market about 5 years ago when we wanted to start selling our ice cream downtown, and we make milkshakes and we take our flavored milks, and it's probably our favorite day of the week because the girls who work at the dairy, who do all this hard work, get to come downtown and meet the people who drink their milk. I think the timing for us to carry on my parents' business was really perfect. About 5 years ago, everyone started talking about buying local and supporting local farms. And even though we'd been doing this for 30 years, I think a lot of people thought we were a new farm because it was the first time we started like a Facebook page and an Instagram account. And so we started this following, and people got to find out about us and feel like they'd been to our farm because they've seen pictures of it. So I'm really fortunate for the buy local movement, and I really hope it keeps going. Our dairy farm is a small dairy farm compared to most, and we really want to stay small because we think we can put extra care into every cow and into every jug of milk. So we don't really have plans to grow very large. We just want to maintain and be able to sell the purest milk possible from our farm. So we keep all our cows here at the farm, and all the milk that we sell comes from just our cows. There's a lot of work that goes into each gallon of milk. The cows first have to be cared for. We raise them from babies, and once they're old enough and they have calves, they produce milk. And we milk them twice a day. And it's a full-time job for sure. It's hard to leave the farm, but we know one day we'll be able to take a vacation. We're not sure when, but maybe in 10 years. It's really important for a local farm to have support from their local neighbors. We don't want to ship milk across the country. It's really not necessary. So our goal is to have as many local milk drinkers drink our milk as possible. It's great to be able to produce a product and then turn around and let someone try it and see what they think of it. It's a lot of work that goes into farming, but when you get to meet people who really enjoy your products, it's so worth it. And that's why I really love going to market and getting to hear feedback from everyone, and seeing children enjoy our ice cream. It just really makes it all worth it.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, the ice cream will come to you. PJ Burchett has a passion for restoring classic vehicles. When he spotted an old rusty van in a field, he just knew he had to turn it into an ice cream truck. Months of labor and lots of shiny paint later, Cruisin Cone was ready to hit the streets.
I wanted a hot rod ice cream truck. I just thought it would be so fun and hilarious. I'm PJ Burchett, builder and the designer of the Cruisin Cone. What I do for a living, I build and design hot rods for people across the whole United States. They come to me, we'll do a concept drawing, and at the end of the day, they get what they paid for. That look, that certain look that no other people can give. For many years, this van used to sit in this field behind this garage I used to go by a lot of times. And I saw it and I always wanted it. I don't know why, something about it. It was sitting there lonely, I guess, and I had to do something with it. And the brilliant idea, I came to my wife, I said, I want to build an ice cream truck. And she looked at me and thought, oh my gosh, you've lost your mind again.
Like, it's seared in my memory. He came home, he's like, I've got this crazy idea. There is this van rotting in this field, and he's like, I just can't explain it. That was the part that got me. I can't explain it, but I need to do this. I want to turn it into an ice cream truck. And I just kind of was like, okay, so are we starting an ice cream business? Like, what are we doing?
Couple of reasons why I wanted to build an ice cream truck. Number one, I wanted that feel and that look of that old-timey, ice cream guy theme, but I want to take it to a different level, make it a hot rod. And also, some of the ice cream trucks that you see around, they just don't look as cool as the old vintage ones. So I drug it home, and everybody laughed at me because they couldn't believe how rough this thing was. But I just knew I had to fix it.
From the very first moment when he finally got possession of the vehicle and they dragged it out of the mud and the muck and they hauled it to the shop and it didn't have wheels and the bottom half is rusting out, and he said, go find me a bow tie. I want to take a picture with this thing and I want to be dressed like the ice cream man. I need one of those paper hats. At the moment when it was all happening, I just kind of was like, you're crazy, but he's my husband. He's always crazy. We kind of really fit that vintage retro niche, and I think a lot of people, if you're hiring an ice cream truck to come to your event, part of the fun of that is that nostalgia of days gone by and when kids used to kind of run outside and the ice cream truck would come by more often. So we sort of fit that, and that's been the fun thing with the treats, because we can kind of get anything, but the sort of repeat things that keep coming up are the ice cream sandwiches, the Nutty Buddy or ice cream cone type things. Some of those really classic Rocket Pops are a big seller.
This vehicle is a 1950 International Metro van. Back then, it wasn't a milk truck or an ice cream vehicle or anything like that, like people think it was. It was just a utility van. Different companies bought it and used it for their deliveries. This one was a company called Jewel T. Jewel T used to go to house, sell plates, silverware, just all kinds of stuff back in the 50s. The shape that this vehicle was in should not have been fixed. Everything from this belt line down was gone. It was absolutely, as soon as I sandblasted it, it fell over the frame. It fell over it. I bought 52 gallons of Bondo. Now, that's a lot of Bondo, but you sand half of it off. And I was putting the Bondo on a gallon or 2 gallons at a time. I went a little bit overboard. I slicked the inside and under it, and in the back also. So everything's hand blocked, hand sanded. You know, time you put your primers and your sealers. Me painting it, I started painting 10 o'clock in the morning, non-stop, and I got done at 5 o'clock that afternoon. The base of it is a Metro van, but I changed some things. So I didn't like how high it was, because it felt a little weird when I just standing in it. So I lowered it down. I put a Corvette suspension, front and rear, under it, because I wanted that handle just like a sports car. Well, it originally had a straight 6-cylinder. No, I needed 500 horsepower. So I put a small block motor in there. When I was building this vehicle, you always have stuff laying around the shop. And you're like, you know, one day I'm going to use that. Well, that day came. The headlights and bumper came off a 52 Chevrolet truck. The little signal light that's on top, it's a Buick tail light, I think. And but the other thing is off a DeSoto. I was at a car show. I found the siren. I just had to have it. Why? I don't know. It fit the vehicle. On the back, there are 41 Chevrolet truck headlights with 64 Galaxy taillights in them, because I wanted that rocket boosting look. I saw a 7-foot ice cream cone. I'm like, I have to have that. So I got it off the internet. It got in. I put it on. Everybody thought I was stupid and crazy about it. I wanted it. Now it looks correct with the vehicle. Well, the fun thing about this vehicle, when I drive it down the road, people take so many pictures, and I even interact with them, because I'll smile, give them thumbs up, or wave at the kids in the back seat, and their minds are blown away. They're like, am I actually seeing this? Now, a couple times I've had people get a little too close because they're just smiling and waving. And, you know, sometimes you gotta, hey, okay, let me just kick the horsepower in and get away from you real quick. People don't realize how fast it is. There's another reason why I built this vehicle. Every car I've ever built has been a 2-seater. So I never had the family come with us on trips and stuff. So I built this vehicle to teach my kids the value of money and communicate with other people, and let them, you know, be a part of something. Because, you know, I love my children and my wife, and I just want them to be a part of my life in the hot rod industry.
The beautiful thing about this is, especially now that it's built, it's something that we're all doing together. When we go to work a party, I'm usually riding along with them. We're working it together. A lot of times our kids are involved. They might be in the truck with us. Even just when we go to car shows, it's like taking a camper van to a car show. We're living in this enclosed space, and we're all together. It's the most we've been together in a long time.
Everybody was blown away. They couldn't believe, is that the same piece of rust that you drug in? So it was great, and I chuckle a lot every time I look at it, and I still laugh about I'm getting so much attention over a ice cream van. I just can't believe it. It's been so funny, but I love driving this thing. You know, going down the road and bringing a certain kind of feeling to some people when they see it. you can see in their face, you know, the happiness and the joy that they're getting, that I made something that's making somebody happy. I think that's one of the perks.
We hope you will enjoy a local scoop of your favorite ice cream this summer. When it's made right here in Tennessee, it's all the more tasty. I'm Vicki Lawson. See you next time.
Tennessee Life is sponsored by
Mid-South Sewing is an authorized brother dealer and repairs all brands of machines. Mid-South Sewing, known for their many fabrics, classes, and individual instructions. Classes on sewing and embroidery machines, software, sergers, and quilting. Mid-South Sewing, Knoxville and Murfreesboro.
Tennessee Life is also brought to you by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. nexttoknox.com, and by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations, knoxvilleflowerpot.com, and by viewers like you. Thank you. A DVD of this program is available by visiting easttennesseepbs.org.